This is the Mixtour Pro from Reloop, a modular professional 4-channel DJ controller designed primarily to work with your phone. And here it is running with an iPhone and Algoriddim's Djay Pro software, which is the software it's been designed to use. Talking of design, a big input in this design has come from our very own Laidback Loop, who DJ'd with the original Mixtour in clubs, in festivals, using his phone, but he didn't like certain aspects of it. So he got in touch with them all, chatted to them, and they made changes to this unit to make it exactly how he would want it to be. And so here it is. Let's have a talk about it then. Is it for you? Is it something that maybe you could switch to? I mean, it's certainly convenient. You can take this little unit and your phone into any DJ booth and just like Luke does, plug into their mixer and DJ from a very small footprint indeed, which isn't of course a new idea, but it's something that he's been working on and developed in this unit in a way that hasn't been done before. So by the end of this, you'll know that. I want to talk you through the features. Let's start with the basics. So it's got a 4-deck control. Here's the transport controls. You get play, pause, cue, sync, and you get a Laidback Loop button, which I'll talk to you about in a minute. But also to switch between the decks, there's just a little press of a button. And so this deck's now flashing red. That's because it's now controlling the outside deck. In other words, deck 3. This one's now flashing red. It's now controlling deck 4. And I can switch them back to decks 1 and 2 like this. So on the software itself, you can switch the view to a 4-deck view quite easily, and you do that directly from the unit. You don't need to do that from anywhere else. You can hold down the shift button and press this little button at the top, and you'll see on the software itself now I've now selected a 4-deck view on there. These are all things that Luke has specified, by the way, to his need for how to use this unit. So in order to start something playing on it, I'll just hit the play button. You can see that I've got deck 1 playing there now. And you've got standard cues. You've got cues up here as well. These are 8 hot cues that you can switch between left and right, or you can use split and have 4 hot cues for each side. And then of course it's not just hot cues, you've got auto loop, bounce loop, sampler, pitch cue, save loops, instant effects and neural mix. These are all things taken directly from Algoriddim's software. Talking of neural mix, which is another word for stems, here we have our standard low, mid, high and gain control, and here we have a filter. But if I press this N button here to switch in neural mix mode, it will allow me to control the vocals, the harmonics and the drums. There's no vocals in this track, but we have got harmonics and drums. So that's taking out and bringing back in the music and the drums rather than the vocals. And you get better control of that as well on the neural mix pad mode here. There's a generous effects section here. It's all worked off paddles, and you've got a big wet dry knob. You've also got effects parameters that you can control, and you've even got the crossfader effects, which is something new that was added to the Algoriddim software by them recently. However, not something I think pros would use. However, having said that, our own tutor, lots of tutors work with Reloop and also work with us here at Digital DJ Tips. Our own tutor, DJ Angelo, has done some pretty clever things using those crossfader effects. So hey, maybe I'd stand corrected. Anyway, they're on there as well. I want to talk to you about that loop button, because this is the Laidback Loop button. That's what they're calling it. And it lets you do kind of auto looping, but all on one button. So here's how it works. I want to start a loop, say a 4-beat loop. I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. I've now got a 4-beat loop. And if I want to get out of that loop, I just press it again. All on one button, right? You can see the loop going on the screen here. Now it's gone. But of course I can do it shorter. If I want to halve the length of that loop, Luke has put in quite a clever little feature. Hold down this button here and just press the loop button again. And press again to get rid of it. It's really nice actually. It's a nice way of handling looping on a controller where you're very limited with buttons. Talking of the buttons, they're all really high quality. The thing is made of aluminium. It's got quite a nice weight to it. The knobs and buttons just feel good. The faders are nice and buttery. These ones have got just the right amount of tension in them. These are possibly a little bit cheap feeling, but they're not actually, as in they're not going to break or anything. But nice aluminium selector here for choosing your tunes. The idea is that you don't have to look at this at all. Now, it doesn't come with the stand. I've just used a tripod for a camera here, which actually I find really, really good. I don't find it's a problem DJing from a small screen when I've got a tripod raising it up kind of close to me there. So that was a surprise. Luke has it at the back. Maybe his eyes are a bit better than me, but I quite like this little setup that I've concocted for myself here. The pads are RGB, which is nice. Again, it's a Pro controller, so that's maybe not too surprising. And there's lots of other features on here as well that Luke has put shortcuts in for. They're mostly labeled anyway. So you've got pitch bend, but you can also alter the pitch on the unit. It's got key match, but it's also got key shift on the unit. And even down to things that you wouldn't normally get on this kind of thing without decks, like for instance, incrementally shorter loops, a bit like James Hype is so happy with. Another tutor at Digital DJ Tips, who'd have thought it? So I've now got that loop running there. I can hold the mode button and turn this knob here. You know that one. I can even hold down the shift button and the paddle for a backspin. Pretty cool. And that's about it. Luke does a really nice video where he goes into a bit more depth about some of the features he's added to this. And we'll link to that underneath here, where you'll also find a link to our full written up video. But is something like this for you? Well, as I said at the beginning, probably not. Certainly not as a first controller, because you've got no decks. Decks are actually quite important when you're learning to DJ, to get a feel for stuff. When you realize the way you want to DJ doesn't naturally involve having to nudge music and so on, and you're not a scratch DJ or a hip hop DJ, that's the kind of point in time where you say, you know what, I think I could do with something smaller. And that's when this might be of interest to you. Of course, Luke didn't invent modular DJing, Reloop didn't invent modular DJing. And so you might be thinking about this kind of system, but looking at some of the other things that are out there. So what are the pros and cons of those? Indeed, what are they? Well, Traktor is well known for this. The Traktor Control X1 is often seen, as is the Z1. So together, these can make a very small unit, giving you more knobs and buttons than the Reloop one. But obviously, this is designed to work with Traktor. Also, Zone with their K2 is a very, very common way of controlling. Again, people tend to map this to Traktor, controlling this kind of thing. However, here is the most complete solution that we've seen so far for this kind of thing. It's been thought about in every detail. If you play synchronized house music, you like loops, you like effects, you like showing off, and you want to do it across 4 decks. Because the software is actually pretty advanced, you get all those advanced features baked in as well, particularly the stems, but also very, very good beat gridding, which quite uniquely means that you probably aren't going to need to use decks to control your music with this. It will kind of handle everything with you, and you can trust the sync button to do a good job, thanks to the fluid beat grids that have been baked into Algoriddim's Djay Pro software. It's quite a hard sell at $500, especially if you're not sure it's exactly what you need. But if you are, well, there's nothing else quite like it. So you're probably already thinking about getting one. We like it. Our tutor Luke obviously likes it because he helped to develop it. But as I say, be sure before you go and spend your money, because it ain't cheap. It's the Mixtour Pro from Reloop for Algoriddim's Djay Pro software. And this has been the Digital DJ Tips quick review of it. Any questions, any feedback, as always, let us know underneath. But meanwhile, get good, get out there, make the moments, and I'll see you again very soon.